was a five, I think. It
Yeah.
was a 5K, which I mean, if you just jog the whole thing, anybody that signs up for a 5K is like, I'm really just here for the water bottle and the t-shirt. And it
And a
was,
sign, a sign I can wear.
yeah, there was the sign. But it was the color run, so it was like you're getting blasted with colors the whole time, which is kind of, that's like a fun thing. I brought my daughter. It was fun. Um,
I hope they ran that. I hope they ran that better than the blacklight slide because I think it's the same people. And the blacklight slide was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I hated
what
it.
what was that? Just like they color you with UV goo or something, and then you slide?
Yeah, they've
Oh,
got
you see, black light problems.
they've got this like green goo. But here's the problem. They they had a horrible DJ who was really repetitive and annoying. She just kept shouting things like "Shake your body, move your body," and it's like we're in a line for a water slide, and it's like 100 people, something 100 people deep. There's only two slides. There's like two gigantic inflatable, like someone bought a bouncy house type slide. They're not that great to begin with. There's
Right.
like 3,000. There's like 3,000 people there partying, and you wait like an hour and 20 minutes to go down this dumb inflatable. I was so mad. I didn't even pay for it, and I was like, dude, we wasted our money. Like I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, dude, how much did you pay for this? It was so bad. I was so frustrated and so annoyed. Like, and the DJ kept coming over. Like, you could hear the DJ being like, move your body, and I'm like, I can't. I'm in line. I'm still in line. Like,
And were there people that were moving their body in line? Like they're just like, well, let's just start a line dance. Like not like,
there was dumb people who were enjoying themselves, but they had to be dumb to enjoy themselves there. I was like, I just kept thinking, I was like, we paid like $25, and that was the discounted price because I think it was like $50. I was like, dude, if I would have paid $50
so
to
what is
stand,
this? What is it?
it's
I
ran
don't
by
get
the
the
same.
thing yet.
It's ran by the same people that do the whatever the color run or the fun color run,
Yeah, this one
and
was, yeah. Color me rad.
yeah, it's something like that. They have the black light stuff, and they've got all these black lights around, and then once you get off the slide, you like, oh, look at me, I'm covered in blue jizz on my face. Like, I've got
Yeah.
these like, and people end up like coloring on they'll buy like a white shirt and color on it with like neon pens and stuff. Like, I designed a shirt for it. That was kind of cool. um and then it was just really blown out and lame. It was like they sold like 3,000 tickets to it, and there were only two slides. It's like, what was the point? Like, I thought it was going to be more like more set up and like more well thought out, but it seemed like an event that a redneck put together. Like, it really felt like a. It was like, except for the music was like DJ music, but like
I've been
otherwise,
to
it could have
I've been to
easily been country music.
I've been to so many things that were like almost like a backyard carnival. And like seriously where it was like a non-sanctioned, like you see the things at school where it's like, all right, pay $5 and you get a sledgehammer and you got to beat the shit out of a car. This
Oh,
was
I
like
missed
that
those.
same thing. I know, wasn't that fun? It was that same thing, but like just at a dude's house. And it was
Yeah.
like, all right, we got the little the four wheelers that are just 50cc. All right, we got those out. Anybody who's fucking under 10 gets one of those to go just ride around on, go fuck around. Those little like mini dirt bikes that have those fat ass tires, dude. And then yeah, they just let you beat the shit out of a car with a sledgehammer. But I mean, there'd be a dude there being like, "Hey, fucking get it!"
Yeah,
I
that
miss
was
that so much.
the glass out first. I remember that.
And guns.
Yeah. Oh man, fucking guns.
I've had
No,
I've
we
had
had
so
one
many like
in high school.
scary, stupid, bad experiences with guns. But the times that I've, you know, with safe people around in a responsible setting, gone to shoot guns, who that is great. The kick of a shotgun to your chest and shoulder is something you it, it's weird how like there's a primal feeling when you shoot a gun, although there's no reason for that to be a primal thing at all because your primal nature was way before guns or anything like that. So it's really weird how that kind of comes about. I think it's just like the availability to murder. It's like, oh, I've got fucking power here, and it just really does start clicking things off, and it's like driving a fast car and going fast. It's like, oh, Okay, it's being able to harness an insane power is a weird thing that when you,
I know
when you get to do it, it's feels
it's
weird.
not something you need, and it's
Right.
not something you understand until you do it. I feel like I get why people love guns. I just don't I don't think that people should be allowed to have an AK-47. Like that's all
Yeah,
like I mean you should be able to have a pistol or a shotgun, and I definitely get it. I same thing with fast cars. Like I've never been like a car dude, but I rented a Camaro, and then I was like, okay, I get it. Like
yeah, yeah. They're fun.
zero to 60 in 3 seconds is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like I was taken off from the rest areas like a few times. Like it was
Oh,
pretty
so fun. I love that. Dude, my friend was into like this whole like street racing thing after the Fast and Furiouses came out and everything. So, I just hang out with him and his street racer friends, and they'd all like pull up downtown and pop their hoods and go, "Oh yeah, fucking you got turbo and shit." And we went to a car show up in Portland once. And so there was like 8 cars of dudes in like different like Mitsubishi Eclipse. It's like crazy modded out, and like all these other just but like older cars done to where, I mean, you've seen those. So it's like a 80s CRX, but it's there's like 5 grand put into a car that's worth 5 grand. Just a weird
Yep.
thing, but it's like
Yeah,
it's a
that's
fun nerd
cool.
hobby. I get it. So we were on our way back from Portland, and so they're all on next telephones talking to each other, like doing a little beep beep to each other.
Oh my god, the fucking
Yeah, that's
chirp.
right. So they're like, all right, let's slow it down. And so they block off. They get 4 cars on I-5, and they slow down to 20 miles an hour for like 5 minutes. And I was just in a car. I was just in the passenger seat, like, dude, this is fucked up. This is so like, this is not okay. And but holy fuck! And as soon as they're like, okay, everybody go, and then everybody just drove like over 100 miles an hour for a while. It was so fucking fun. But like that was like when we were 17.
Yeah.
Stupid young. Oh God, I got a kid. I think about that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh no. But I mean, maybe I. She asks stuff like, "It's gonna be cool. Like, you're gonna teach me how to drive a car when it's time for me to get a license." And there's part of me that's like, I don't know if you're ever gonna get a license. Like, I don't know if that's gonna be a thing when you're that old. Like, they're already starting to phase out as much as possible. So I wonder if it's just gonna be all Minority Report. Everybody does those couch cars that just go up the side of buildings and everything.
Oh
Just
yeah.
it's all robot cars.
Just all drive yourself.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll just be how Netflix started out as a you mail away and you get an envelope with a DVD in it, and now it's
Mhm.
Netflix is whatever the fuck it is now. But you know, autonomous cars, they have them kinda, and
Yeah.
then what if it just Uber just becomes that service that doesn't even mean people drive that car anymore? Like, oh yeah, I forgot that that used to even mean that, like the Netflix and the envelopes.
That would be funny if there was still like a service like Lyft or Uber, like they had two of them, and one of them you still got like a dude, and the other one was just a self-driving car, and like all the poor people are like, man, I gotta sit in my car and in that car and talk to a stranger, and then rich people are just like, yeah, da, da, da. They're
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna take this. I don't have to talk to anybody. It's great. It's
yeah,
a little more expensive, but it's worth it.
or like the Uber Black or whatever that is. I think that's the expensive, nice one or whatever.
Oh yeah,
So like that one, you just get it's like it's an autonomous Tesla, and it doesn't talk, it doesn't make any noise, and yeah, I
I
don't know.
never
That's
under,
interesting.
I never understood paying extras. Like you're going to the same place. Like you just want a little more room. Like you want like I mean, unless you've got like a bunch of people with you, which I understand, like the XL, like it's like it makes you get an
Yeah,
SUV because you're gonna
I
hit the
mean,
fucking pound with like 5 people.
yeah, I mean, there's people that go to 5-star restaurants every night
Yeah,
just
that's
because
true.
they're like, you know what, I got it, and I like to spend it. And dude, if I get any money like that, I'm like, no, dude, I'm gonna watch this. I'll get a meal for a fucking dollar, and then I got all that. That's my kind of game. I love that shit.
Yeah.
I ate I ate like chicken from my work, so I call that good. And so I don't pay for it. I haven't paid for food there in years. So I just eat some chicken, and then that's like the food I eat, and then I come home and I eat a little bit of food. And I feel like I feel like sometimes I don't know. I spend so little money on food that it feels like I'm winning sometimes. And then when I
Yeah.
go out or like buy something from somewhere, it's so like weird to me. I bought a burrito for like $7, and I was like, whoa. I think the ones I make at home are better.
You're like, I need to cut back on that. You're like, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, it's so rare that I go out. I assume that dating me has to be kind of a bummer because I don't even think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, we should probably like do something nice.
You're like, I got some chicken from work.
Yeah. No, dude, I seriously like frozen chicken and I just throw it in the air fryer and I'm like, this is good, right? I'm like, that's
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
turn on a
I
movie.
was I was that way for a while, especially when I was like back when I was miking every night. I was like, anything I can get from work that is cheap or close to free. We used to have a
Fucking
like
love free food.
yeah, we used to have like a buy what was it like? It was like a 2 for 15 deal for lunch, and if you didn't end up ordering the second, it was by course. So like the salad course was only like $2, and if you didn't end up buying the second course, you didn't have to pay the extra 13. So I used to get this like $8 or $9 salad for like $2 all the time, and I would
There
just
you go.
I would type in everything I wanted added to it, and then the cooks would add it. So I'd get like a salad with walnuts and blue cheese crumbles and avocado and chicken for like $2.
Fuck.
I've always tried to find like ways to do that, and usually you can get away with it depending on the chef you're working with. Some chefs will be like, "Hey, what's this? There's no charge for." I was like, dude, I work here. Don't charge me fucking $4 for avocado. Like, I'll
Yeah.
I'll pay you an extra dollar if it's that big of a deal. But like, come on, man.
There was a like early YouTube or something like that. Um One of those like when Jackass and CKY were kind of becoming a thing. I think I
Mhm.
saw it on the internet. It was just this guy that would go around to places and he'd be like, "All right, here's how to scam the system at this place." And so he'd open his trunk. You know what I'm talking about?
And he had a cup from every fast food place, right?
Yeah.
I
And like,
love that. He was on Comedy Central for a little bit. They
oh,
gave
okay,
him
maybe that's where I saw it.
they gave him a show for like a half a season. I think he got canceled, but he like, yeah, I remember that. He was like, yeah, this place has this sort of. I think they probably took him off the air because he was like losing money for those companies.
Yeah, exploiting the system.
You might as well, man. Like I used to, when I was younger, I used to be like, oh, you should do things the right way because that fucks up society. But then now I'm like, dude, these corporations are fucking people over. You might as well try and get anything you can for free, especially if you work for them. Like
Yeah.
I
Oh,
never
totally.
understood. I still don't understand why. Like you can't even give me health insurance. Like fuck you. I shouldn't have to pay for the food here. I should at
Yeah.
least get food.
Yeah.
It's the bare minimum. It's what you guys do. I should be able to benefit from the product of the place where I work
Yeah.
in some way or another.
Yeah. It's brutal. I 3 pizzas today came to $85 just because people like to upsell at my work, and it just
Yeah,
blew my fucking mind. I mean, I got a $12 tip off it, so I was like, that's pretty cool. But
nice.
like 80, can you imagine spending $85 on 3 fucking pizzas?
I would be pissed.
It's
I would be
insane.
pissed if that ended up happening to me. Like it's
Yeah,
one thing, yeah, dude. If it's like if that you could go and get two decent steaks for that much. Like you could go to my place
yeah.
and even get like if you didn't order anything else, you could get two pretty decent steaks for that much. You can't get any drinks or anything, but you maybe split a salad if one of you gets a cheaper steak. But yeah, that's a lot of fucking money to drop. I don't know. Anytime I drop more than $60 on one meal, I'm like, ooh. Even if it's like two people eating, I'm just that's getting
Right.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, because it's like, dude, when's the last time I spent $60 at all?
Yeah,
Rent and bills and stuff. But other than that, it's like I don't really buy things. And when I did, it was from a thrift store or something like that. I haven't bought any. Like, I was just thinking about I haven't bought a new pair, like a new clothing item in fucking years.
yeah.
It's nice. I mean, Emma works at a thrift store, so it really like I'm kind of cheating because she just sends me pictures. You want this, and then employee
Uh,
discounts for bringing it home. So I don't. Once again,
fuck
not
that.
doing any work for it. It's great.
No, that's you gotta yeah, you gotta find the hookups. Like my dad works at Goodwill, so I can usually get a
Nice.
pretty yeah. And I know the code. I know which like what day to go in for what, like for discounts and whatnot. Like I forgot
Oh,
what
there's
it
certain
is, but
days.
it's like they have certain days or certain colors. I can't remember which are which, but I shouldn't be talking about that. But I know
We're not supposed to talk
that
about it outside of one member in
oh
the
my
family.
god, I don't want my dad to get in trouble, but they have weird rules there. They won't let him buy DVDs, and that's like usually the only thing he wants there. So he'll like send me in, and he'll be like, "Hey, they have this DVD for sale. I want here. I want you to pick it up for me. I can't buy it, so I'll go in as a customer and buy it, but he can't buy it himself. And he's also not allowed to go to the bins at all, apparently, because he has like insider trading knowledge about like what's going to the bins, like
Oh, I
because
see.
yeah, so like if he like sees something like that's gonna end up there, if he knows there's gonna be like a shipment of like furniture, because a lot of furniture ends up going there. So if someone donates a couch or something, he knows where it's going. So it's kind of funny. They're really picky about all that stuff, and then they turn around and then they treat mentally challenged people like low wage workers. So it's kind of
Yeah,
it's kind
yeah.
of
My roommate
hypocritical.
Zach, he got fired from there, and he always
But
has like he always has a different funny story from because he's never really told me why because you know I get curious. But one of the reasons is he kept smelling the bras.
he kept
That was,
smelling the bras.
that was my favorite one that he told
That's
me.
really that's really funny. I can see him smelling bras at Goodwill. That's what's funny about it. I could.
Yeah, not even in like there's a weird like comfort with perversion when it comes from Zach. Like it doesn't bother me. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, smelling bras. It's fine. Like, yeah, you know what? I get it. Tentacle porn and Goodwill bra sniffing.
Oh my god. I think the funniest thing that happened though was my dad found a rug. They had like a rug come in, and he's like, "We got to get here quick and buy it. Like you have to come in and buy it though. I can't buy this rug." And I was like, "All right." So I went and picked him up, and we went to go get the rug, and someone else was buying it, like the exact rug he was talking about. And he was like, "We drove all the way from such and such to get that." And I was like, "Dad, you work here. You can't argue with customers over
Yeah,
that." Like I was like just thinking to myself, I was like, "Dude, that's kind of like you can't do that. Like that's a bad idea. That's a bad look, man. I wouldn't." And he's like, "Oh yeah." Like it took him a second. I was like, and it was just it's funny to me because it's like he's had a few things like that where he just has like old man kick in. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
Like he just has like no filter and like because he like a couple of years ago he wouldn't have done something like that, but it's really and even now he's like he talks about it. He's like I shouldn't have done that. I was like no, you shouldn't have. But it was kind of funny. He almost it felt like an old school like bartering market or something where people are like bartering up like a flea market or something. It's like no, I had that or I had dibs on that. Like
yeah.
it was kind of funny.
Dude, there was a flea market in Mobile, Alabama. I used to go to a lot. It was fucking huge and awesome.
I love flea market. I have really good memories of flea markets in Florida. Just there was
Yeah.
like it just felt like they stretched on forever. They were like outdoor flea markets,
Yep.
and they would just have like you would there was like very basic like pavilion style stuff, and you would just keep turning around and you'd be like there'd be more and more tables of shit, and it's just so random. And just as a kid, you never felt like a treasure hunt. You never knew what the fuck you were gonna find. Like
Yeah. It was
it's
so
I mean
fun.
like a lot of them were selling oranges. I remember being disappointed.
Yeah.
Like I'd get to the end, you get to the end of the flea market, and it's just like a bunch of people selling oranges because it's Florida. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, it's like 400, in between fruit or like scarf stands or here's some hats, and then you get to like one that's like some like weird ass toys or electronics, and it's like fuck
Those
yeah,
were my favorites. Were the like McDonald's toys from the '80s. Like if
yep,
some lady had because it was early '90s when I used to go a lot. Like
yeah,
I'd go after soccer games because the flea market near us was right by our soccer field. So like my parents would pay me 25 cents for every time I made contact with the ball or I did something in the game. So by the end of the game, I'd have like $3 or something. You know what I mean? So I was
Yeah.
like, always end up being like, oh, what am I gonna buy? And I'd always end up buying some like, hey, look, it's an Alf toy from McDonald's. I never saw Alf, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna own this forever.
Dude, I had a couple Elf toys when I was a kid too, and I never saw Elf.
It's a weird fucking show, dude. It's a
Yeah,
weird,
that's
weird
what I've
show.
heard.
It could only exist in the 80s. It's very it feels like it's from the coke addled minds of a coke addled like producer from the 80s. Like
Yeah, there's a lot of frenetic material, be it like movies or TV, just bouncing all the fuck around. I'm about to watch Tango and Cash again. Have you
oh
seen that
great.
movie? It is
Yeah.
just bonkers as fuck.
Hmm.
It's great. Monster trucks.
Yeah, there's a lot of scripts from the 80s that they had to like wipe coke residue off of before they turned them in.
Yeah.
They're just
And then what if there were fucking monster trucks with guns and motorcycles jumping all over the place?
what if there's this guy? He's really burned up, you see, and he wears a striped sweater and he gets kids in their dreams. Like, what, dude? Like, you gotta lay off the drugs, man. It's like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. They live on a street called Elm. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. Oh, yeah, man. It's weird how much like, even though we weren't really raised in the '80s, how much the '80s really had an effect on everything, though. Too. It really like, I mean, they're still just rebooting shit from the '80s. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, totally. Didn't they even reboot Nightmare on Elm Street recently?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did it about 10
Jackie
years
Earle
ago
Haley.
with yeah, Jack Earl Haley, who did Rorschach.
Yeah.
I never
And the
saw
kid
the
who
remake.
says the N word in Bad News Bears, the first one.
Oh, that's right. That kid, is he also fuck, is he also in is he in Christmas Story?
I
Or
haven't
he's
seen.
in
I
one of
mean,
those. I think he's in one of
I haven't seen
those.
it in a long time.
I always get him. You know who he looks like to me is the Shermanator from American Pie. You
Oh my
remember
god.
that? Like
Yeah.
he was like our generation's ginger kid like that. Like I feel like every generation has like a ginger kid in movies like that
It's
kind of
just
grows
the ultimate, like, yeah,
up.
quintessential ginger.
Nerd. Yep. Oh, man. That's funny. He's a racist little kid in Bad News Bears, and he grows up to be Rorschach, a racist superhero. That's
Yeah.
kind that's really funny. That's conducive.
He never, it doesn't seem like he, I mean, I don't know what else he's really been in, but he hasn't been in any role that's been, you know, quote unquote normal.
Yeah, they kind of and he kind of doing the Nightmare on Elm Street kind of hurt his career, unfortunately, because they that movie just got critically panned, and I haven't really seen him pop up in too much lately.
Hmm.
And
I haven't seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. When I was a kid, there was a haunted house I went to. It was a haunted house in Florida. I don't know if there was different rules, but there was dudes riding motorcycles throughout the like woods, and like there was a guy that was coming through with a chainsaw. That when I was a kid, I didn't know that you could take a chain off of a chainsaw. So he's walking through the line of people going blah, and I'm like, whoa, dangerous! Come on! It scared the shit out of me because I was like, this is not like even as a kid, I was like, not okay. This is like fucking not all right. But yeah, when we got to the Nightmare on Elm Street part, I just thought it was a zombie, and I was like, oh, okay, zombies never really scared me or anything, so I was just always like, oh, okay. And then there was like Elm Street, and like it was a bunch of things that were not quite zombies, so it was kind of confusing. And I just asked my dad, and I was like, what is that? And that's how I figured out what it was. Still never seen it though.
I saw I saw one of them way too early. I can't remember if it was the first one or the second one, but there was a scene. I'll always remember the scene. Was God, I must have been 6 because I think I was staying at my grandparents after like kindergarten because I would spend my kindergarten was close to their house,
Yeah,
so they would pick me up from school sometimes, and they just weren't watching me. Just classic, classic neglect,
yeah,
classic floor neglect. Here's a TV, just sit down and watch this, and I flipped to that channel and it's a scene where Freddy gets this guy who's like on a bed, and he gets like pulled into the bed, and he's like moving around on the ceiling and stuff, and then the bed just erupts into blood. It was like just it was super graphic, and I had never seen anything violent at the time. And I'll
Yeah.
just always remember like that was my first exposure to like horror and violence, and it's kind of crazy. Like
I
looking
was
back on
probably
it, I
just
still see it now. It's fucking cheesy.
I was probably just a little bit older than that when my dad showed me The Shining, and he's like, because I hadn't
No,
really seen anything scary, and he's like, "You want to see a scary movie?" And I was like, "Sure, I guess. I don't know." And then I saw The Shining, and I was like, "Ugh," and it was like the blood thing with the elevator doors. I didn't really that didn't really get me. I wasn't. It was just kind of weird. But there were certain other things that were just a little too creepy. And so I think that kind of put in motion for like things that are just kind of eerie. Those really freak me out. But like gore and blood and like jump scares, definitely. Those get me real bad. Those get me in real life. I like. I saw a video on Reddit of there's this like snowman in the city, and then people walk by and he goes, that's all he does. He's just, and they freak the fuck out. And everybody jumps in a different way and has like a different reaction. It's actually pretty interesting to see on like a human level. But
sociological experiment at that point.
yeah, and so you see like some people just want to fucking fight right immediately, and then like, whoo man, but some people scream, and some people fall down and you like cower. It's really interesting. But I'm the last one. That's what I do. I'm very like I'm skittish as fuck, dude. When I was
Yeah, I'm
young,
a bit jumpy.
there was a when I was growing up, there was a hallway and a bedroom on each side of the. It was my sisters and my parents, and so uh, I remember walking down the hall, and my mom was on this side, and she was like, "Hey, come here." And then when I got there, she pointed behind me and goes, "Ugh," and made a scared face. And I turned around, and my daddy goes, "Ma!" And I was like, "Dude, fucked up." So, yeah, I think that had something to do with the jump scare thing. I don't. Yeah,
Just ingrained. You have jump scare PTSD.
yeah, jump scare and The Shining. Just like um, yeah, anything. Also, yeah, like if there's a girl in a movie, that scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Just mm-mm. There was a like I might have brought this up when you were talking about just scary videos on the internet. There was
Mhm.
a video I saw of just somebody pulling up in a cornfield, and then like a girl in like a hospital gown walks from one side to the other, and like that's like one of the scariest fucking things I've ever seen. But it's just it's I think it's like set up to scare people. But fucking
That's
that kind
funny.
that kind
So
of shit
the
scares me.
the ring is just out for you then. Like the ring is like your nightmare.
Yeah, I saw The Ring. The stuff that's on the video even creeps me the fuck out, but it's meant to, so they did a good job with that. The girl doesn't get me. That
Yeah.
for some reason that one's not scary, but the turnaround reveal of the chair and people's faces all when they're like that, that's
That's
scary.
freaky.
Yeah, so
I
I'm not
think
sure.
I actually, yeah, looking back, I feel like the ring video itself is creepier than the movie. Like remembering the actual video that they show
Yeah,
people, like and just the
it's just so
concept.
weird.
Yeah, the concept's creepy. I don't know why. I just never really like it. Never really got me the when Western horror started copying Eastern horror stories. So like when we started getting those like Japanese horror movies like that, I was like, oh, it's a it's a girl who's wet with long black hair. She, like they did the same thing in The Grudge. I was like, what's with all these wet demons? Like it's kind of I
Yeah,
don't know. The Grudge was worse than The Ring, but I feel like The Ring was like it had some very like legitimately scary like symbolism and just imagery in general, but it
right.
wasn't like it was more atmospherically creepy to me than
So
actual like it.
the Grudge was creepy to me only in a couple little parts, and one of them was the little boy that meowed.
Oh yeah, that was kind of freaky.
Dude, what the fuck? It's just a little kid who turns around and goes meow or whatever, and that like
Uh,
right now, goosebumps on my shoulder. Fucking nah, I hate
I
that kid. No
I
thanks.
haven't thought about that in years, and you bringing that up freaks me out. Like him, I see him like, isn't he like on the stairs or something in one scene?
Yeah. He's
Like
like he's
peering
all
through
yeah,
the
he's crouched
banister.
over. Yeah. Oh man.
Fuck that. Yeah, fuck that, dude. Fuck that. That lives in my brain, and you just reminded me that that's in there.
Yeah. It's
Oh
crazy
man.
the laws that they have in Japan that allow them to scare the shit out of people on like TV shows. Have you seen
Mhm.
those? Where they're like in the elevator and they shut off the lights and they turn on the lights and there's like a girl standing there like, and then
Mhm.
people freak out and then they turn off the lights and she's gone. Uh, that stuff is so scary, and maybe it's because what they don't allow people to have guns in Japan. There it is.
That's yeah. People get shot. You get shot. Do you remember the one of my favorite Halloween videos of all time? It's a Halloween prank video, and this dude pops out in a mask out of a recycling bin, and this guy just
Oh yeah,
fucking decks him in the
yeah.
face. Like it's so great. Like, but that's
That's
what I think of anytime I ever think about scaring someone. Is like, oh yeah, people react violently sometimes. So you got to be careful.
yeah, and that's like I don't know that I won't do that. I know that I initially will not do that for sure. But like, I think my second reaction might be like, dude, you just made me do that in front of a bunch of fucking people. Now I feel like I have to hit you. That's what has to happen. Now I got to even it out somehow.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's both sides of it to that, and then I also would feel like you'd feel worse if you scared someone like that whose natural reaction is to fight back because they probably had some fucked up shit happen to them.
Yep.
If that's
Yeah.
their first reaction, you're like, oh no, they're trained. They've been you're like, fuck, I shouldn't have fucked with this person at all.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know.
I'm so
I was,
happy I haven't been in like a fight, and because like, can you imagine being like, okay, I have to like defend my honor or whatever, in a fight. And then so you're like, okay, well, here goes. And then the person squares up like they know how to fucking fight. And you go, oh, fuck. Like, what now? I don't know what to do now.
what are you supposed to do? You're like, I can't wing it. I
Yeah.
was hoping that I was just stronger than him.
Yeah.
Oh man, I haven't gotten a fight since middle school. I got in a lot of fights in middle school though. I almost felt like it was like the time. It was like because the whole thing in high school, like I wanted to get in fights in high school. There's a few times where I wanted to fight people because they'd piss me off or they had
Yeah.
done something. But the whole fact that like you'd actually like get sent to jail, like or you could have charges pressed against you in high school, like always deterred me from it. But
Oh, for sure.
I witnessed some funny fights in high school. Um, my favorite was I'll always remember this redneck dude. He was the biggest asshole in the world and just racist and shitty and just a dumb loud idiot. And there was this kid he kept fucking with, and he ended up calling him the N word. And the guy lost it. It was like the last time. Like he had done it a bunch of other times too. So he punched him in the face a couple of times, and the redneck dude had like such deep acne in his face. He was just like a pizza face guy.
Uh-huh.
That when the black kid punched him, his zits popped all over his hand. So his hands had like pus and blood on them from his zits,
Oh,
and the black kid started freaking out. He's like, "Oh man, I fucked him up really bad." And then he like look at him and is like, "Nah, dude, you're like a dermatologist. Like that's what the
yeah.
dermatologist done. Like just squeeze all that shit. Like like no, you actually helped him out. Like you just need to get like a Stridex pad and that'll wipe away. Like, but I'll always remember that shit, man. It was so fucking funny. I was like, you fucking deserve it, dude. Like you've been running your mouth all season, and this dude finally popped you because you deserved it. But my coach didn't even say anything. My coach was like, "Yeah, well, let's see you fucking get." So
Oh, yeah.
I was happy about that. Yeah, like that. That was like one of the few times where you're like, "Ah, he's just gonna turn a blind eye," and I'm glad. But
Yeah.
man, I've said some crazy shit.
There were, I think of like all the fights I saw in high school, and it was all one dude. And it was just like,
It
there
usually
was
is.
this, yeah, he got in a lot of fights. I just got punched in the face one time because I slapped a duck call out of someone's mouth because they were doing
Uh,
it throughout the hall, and I was like, nope, not, um, but yeah, so then you get punched in the face, you go home. And then, but this other guy, Sam, champion. So
mhm.
there was this, we were walking through like the top of there's the gym and then the top area, whatever. So we're walking through the gym, and he and this like short Mexican dude were like yelling at each other, and like me and my friends just walk by it like it's nothing because it's so common that he's yelling at someone, and he's also like the nicest guy, so he's always like on the right side of things. But even though he's a fucking maniac that's just like this gentle giant dude, uh, but violent. So he's like doing that, and then we go to class, and then Sam gets there about 5 minutes late to class, and his khaki pants are covered in blood, and so is his shirt. And we're just like, "What the fuck, dude?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just broke some kid's nose." And then we're like, "Okay." And then so he's sitting on the couch, not in a desk, and he's like, "I'm gonna not be here that long, so just I'm sitting over here." And then so the school cop comes in and it's like, "Hicks, come on," because his name was Sam Hicks. And it's, whoops, that's his name, whatever. So yeah. So he just said, "Hicks, come on," and then he just like stands up and waves to the class, and then he just fucking leaves. And apparently that he saw that dude slap his girlfriend in the face, and that's why he got in a fight with him. And so he always had like some badass reason that he was doing something. He's like, "I'm getting fucked over, but whatever," you know.
So
I was like
you're
that.
like, oh, you're standing up for you actually have convictions and morals, and that's cool. Like
Yeah,
I respected dudes who were like that, even though I was like, dude, you're just life's gonna be hard for you.
yeah,
Like if you're fighting every time someone fucks you over, you're like, ugh, you're gonna get in a lot of fights.
yeah, yeah. I'm pretty much the exact opposite. I just go like, "Oh, there's a confrontation over there. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to what I'm doing."
That's why I feel like I'm so good at the service industry. Is I'm just like that's literally all it is. It's like because it's like you think about like what you end up doing to make money, and you're like it's like your most marketable skill. And I'm like my most marketable skill is taking shit with a smile on my face. I guess.
Yeah, and you have
I'm
to
like,
just kind of you got to kind of reset all the time. Like how
oh
many
yeah,
times do you like it? You have this amount of customers, and you have to like, if you say you have each one is a shitty customer, it's like okay, you got to reset and start over at 100 for the next one. And so each time you fucking boom boom, it's crazy because like I work in a really shitty neighborhood, so I see crime all the time, and
mm-hmm.
I'm just like fucking back to work. Like I watch it like whoa. Okay, back to work. Because I can't like we've literally called the cops, and we've been like, there's a guy with his pants down and he's pushing himself on the front window of our store. And like dick out, and he's just like his ass is on the window, and then he turns out around and his like stomach and dick are on the window. And I call the cops, and then she goes, "Well, is he playing with himself?" And I was like, "No, but this is a food store, so wouldn't it that matter?" And she's like, "Well, if he's not, uh, causing danger," and it was just this bullshit thing. And I just hung up on the cops, which is kind of fun, also, dude. Great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When you're like, you can't fucking help me.
Oh yeah. I just had the whole
Well,
attitude of, okay, well, you're not going to do anything. All right, bye.
uh,
Uh, yeah. Fucking. So they don't care, and so it really is just like you have to let it go dissolve over there. It's like
mhm.
so today, here's my example from today. And I just have to fucking get rid of it. So there's this guy and this lady that are yelling at each other just in the middle of the street. Not too busy. It's a side street, not a main street. So, but still traffic. So they're just screaming nose to nose, screaming at each other. And they're like doing that like ah, and up to where like they're hitting each other's faces a little bit. And I'm like, that's assault, that's assault, that's assault. Each one of those is assault, whatever. So so then he like yells something, like, "You don't even know," and he grabs her face with his hand and shoves it really fucking hard. So she stumbles back, and she's like, "I'm fucking sick of this." And so she gets in the passenger side of a car, like a SUV, and he's yelling with his like forehead up against the window. He goes around and he starts banging on the hood, and then he just walks around and he throws his hands up and he just fucking breaks the window. And then
Oh
he
my
just
god.
goes, "What now?" And I was like, "All right, back to work. Here we go." I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do ever about that, but it's either yeah, it's funny. That kind of shit happens so often. People like throw themselves into traffic right in front of my store. That's happened multiple times. They'll
Oh
just
my god.
throw
I
and
feel
lay down in front
I
of
feel like
traffic.
people have done that to me before. I feel because I there was a time. So
It's crazy.
I was driving around Clackamas area, and it was raining really hard, and I was at a stop sign or a stoplight, and the light had turned green, and this girl just ran across screaming, and she wasn't chasing anyone, and she wasn't being chased by anyone. And I was like, did this girl just try and kill herself using my car as the suicide weapon? Because that's not fucking cool. And I was like, I was stoned at the time too, and I was like, that would just be my fucking luck. It's like
Yeah,
this person who's trying to kill themselves throws themselves in front of my car when I'm stoned, and then I go to jail forever for DUI. Like that's fucking insane.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there was another time. I still can't believe this fucking happened. I haven't talked about this since it happened. It was on Holgate. I was driving around Holgate, Southeast Portland, and I don't know if she was trying to see how fast she could run or what, but it was like she was wearing like workout clothes. She ran in front of my car one time going right while I was like driving down the road, and then she ran in front of my car a second time going left, like went back and forth across the road, just like real quick. And it seemed like she waited until I got really close to a certain point. I was like, is she testing herself? Like I was like, what is going on? Like this is fucking insane. Like I still can't believe that fucking happened. That was like, what is going on in this city? And it happened like within the same like 6 month period. I was like, dude, is my car just sit like scream, kill yourself in front of me? Like I don't like. I thought it was like cursed for a second. Like I don't know. I was going crazy. I was like, dude, what is this? Like this is really weird.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh, I wonder if she was just trying to clock herself, but you didn't give her a chance to ask you how fast you were going.
yeah, that's what I was. That's what I was thinking. I was like, is she trying to do some crazy Fight Club style? Like, is she like a Fight Club
A run
um
club?
country? Yeah, like Run Club. The first rule of Run Club is we don't talk about Run Club.
Yeah,
The second rule of Run Club: almost kill yourself with other people's cars. Look at ridiculous, dude. Like, I mean, I don't ever think that killing yourself is selfish. I'll never say that because that's fucked up to people who end up doing that and have those feelings. But if you fucking use my car to kill yourself, that's selfish. Like, don't
yeah.
bring me into it. Don't
Don't,
make
yeah,
me
don't exactly. Don't bring
don't make
anybody
me
else
commit
into it.
manslaughter. I don't want to commit, even if it's involuntary. I do not want manslaughter ever attached to me.
Yeah.
It's just fucking sick. It's a weird. It's just such a weird thing to me, like throwing yourself in front of a car.
See, I say, buy a gun, rent a boat, and then go out
Rent a
into the, yeah, go out really far into the water, and then maybe bring some chum with you, or just cover yourself in it. So you shoot yourself in the head while leaning off the boat, and then all the fucking sharks eat you or whatever. And I mean, who gives a shit about the boat? It's a company; they'll get it.
That's, that's not a bad. Yeah, that's not a bad
And
way.
that's just right now. I've never thought of that before, but that's a really good idea.
I always thought. I always used to say climb into a dumpster with a shotgun and then just take the trash out.
That's a good way to do it too, because people will be
Yeah,
like, "Oh, well, okay, we'll just
yeah. Well, someone's got to take you out,
fucking
obviously.
yeah, they
Well,
have to get you out of there," and they'll be like, "Ew, there's garbage on this one."
my ex who was a mortician used to say
Oh yeah,
she's like killing yourself in a bathtub is the absolute most selfish way because it's really fucking hard to get someone out of a bathtub, and apparently like obviously have to drain it, so it's like
yeah. There's
in
a
a
lot of you that it's left in there.
yeah, exactly. So it's like it's absolute. She's like that's the most disgusting thing. She's like that's really gross. She's like that's basically like just the equivalent of like the suicide equivalent of clogging a toilet like and leaving it like that's pretty much the same concept. No, she said the easiest one to deal with was like basically what you were saying, but out in the wilderness. There was
Oh
she
yeah,
would
that's a good
find
one
it a
too.
lot. People would go out into the wilderness and then they would kill themselves. And she said she retrieved a guy who his face was eaten by like a turkey. And
Oh,
she's like, oh,
cool.
well, that's not bad. She's like, most of them is gone. We just pop them in the oven. She's like,
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, I mean, that's actually like someone is gonna have to deal with you after you're done. Like, that was the other bit I had about it was I was like I don't want to do it merely because I'm not an asshole. Like this is gonna be a big mess. Like this like this is gonna leave a mess. I don't want someone to have to clean that up. Like that's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
Like I've always felt, because okay, so when people hang themselves,
Hmm.
there's something about that that I don't understand. Because so like let's just refer back to Robin Williams. That's, I mean, assuming his wasn't masturbatory, right?
I don't think it was.
Okay. I think I just heard people like reference that kind of thing around his death, but I don't
He did a movie. That was the thing. He did a movie.
right.
And in the movie, his it was a Bobcat Goldthwait directed movie. It's called World's Greatest Dad. It's actually
Yeah.
really really
Great movie.
yeah yeah. So you've seen it. So
Yeah.
his son kills himself that way,
Hmm.
and he makes it look like his son actually killed himself, and he was a writer and he attached all of his writing to his son. So he's like, oh, my son was this eloquent, amazing poet, and it's like, no, nah, he was kind of an asshole who died jerking off.
It was, yeah, that was the interesting thing about the movie is like when he killed himself or actually died, didn't commit suicide, but when that happened, it was like a weird feeling you had because it's like, oh, you're not really supposed to care about that person. You're caring about,
Mhm.
you know, what happens to the dad and his psyche and how he possibly could take advantage of it in different ways.
I loved that movie because it
Yeah.
painted the it addressed the point that people try to like aggrandize people after they die. Like they really kind of like, and even if they didn't know them, they're like they always try and paint a picture of like what they were like. And
Yeah,
it's
we
like
were best friends.
no one in that school knew who he was except for his best friend. And his
Yeah.
best friend was like, yeah, no, that shit didn't happen. He's like, there's no way. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it's a crazy fucking movie. But no,
Uh,
I think because of that movie, people think that, oh, that might have been what happened. And I think he joked about it a few times on stage, so it's possible.
yeah,
But no,
that's
I
also
think
the
he was.
interesting thing too, because he did joke about it on stage, and he talked about it on WTF right before, like
Yeah,
like
I
months
think he
before,
was.
wasn't it?
I think his issue was he was sick. Obviously, I think he had
Right.
terminal cancer, and he didn't want to go public with it because he didn't want people to treat him differently. And then I think it got worse, and then I think he fell off the wagon because I know he was sober for a long time. I think he fell off the wagon, and it was the combination of those two things, and he's just like, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore. But I also fucking Doug Stanhope. Have you heard Doug Stanhope's bit about it?
No.
So Doug Stanhope did an episode of Louis, rest in peace, and
Oh yeah,
it
yeah.
was an episode about suicide,
That's a
and it
really
was
good episode, by the way.
yeah, it's really good. It's a really good speech. It's about like a washed up comedian talking about how he doesn't have anything left, and it's not sad. It's just a realization he's come to, you know. And anyways, Robin Williams emailed Louis about it and said that was the most powerful dialogue he's ever heard about suicide. And then Stanhope said, "Oh, so even the lowly rated Doug Stanhope and could motivate Robin Williams in the last days of his career." It's like, oh shit. So there's a lot of little things hinting. You know, he was definitely thinking about it. You know,
Yeah,
it was on Robin Williams' mind for sure. Like, and he's always had a dark edge to him. Like everyone always remembers him as like a goofy, silly guy, but it's like, dude, it's always been there. Like that's why they always wonder how comedians can do these dark. I don't know how they can do these dark, serious roles. Like that's who they are. That's who like
yeah,
that's like they've like to be. I feel like to be able to tap into like a really silly side, you've had to see the contrast of that, you know, in
yeah.
your
It
life.
really
You've
is
had
like
to
a,
really experience.
instead of like the diversity of an entire sphere or something, it really is like a coin of like which one I'm like I can be this one or this one. I can't
Mhm.
really do the other stuff in the middle, but like I can be a goofball or I can try to be serious. But that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. I
really,
feel the same way.
it breeds bipolarity
Yeah,
comedy.
it kind of does, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean, it's funny to me that they always like people are always like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're so good at being serious." I was like, "Yeah, that's that's what comedians are like when they're not trying to be funny half the time, like when they're alone." Like,
Yeah, I want to see that that movie. King of Staten Island.
Ooh, yeah, that's I really like that. I would definitely recommend it. It's definitely a bit of a tearjerker, and I would just be prepared to feel like ooh, a little too close to home
Yeah.
with a lot of that one didn't fuck me up as much as Big Time Adolescence though. That's the other Pete Davidson movie that's
Okay.
on it's on Hulu right now. That one fucked me up because it was like the basis of that movie was like, oh, he's 23 years old and he doesn't know what he's doing, and I'm like, ah, fuck, I'm 9 years older than that, and I
Yep.
still don't know what I'm doing. And then they're like, oh, and he's funny, but it's not enough. And I'm like, God damn it! Like, or can you stop? Like, I'm like, can you not? And I think his mom was dead in that one too, and I was like, man, this is like a little too close. But
Yeah.
that one was a fun movie, but it was kind of a little heavy-handed, I'd say, for sure, especially towards the end. He played one of those guys who always had big ideas and like aspirations and ambition, but like anytime trying to like utilize it or get shit moving, he couldn't get any momentum going. So
I like that dude. I haven't seen him at all on SNL, but
I like him. Yeah.
I've seen his comedy and stuff. His special I liked quite a bit actually. It did you watch the special?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I
Okay.
liked it. I need to
So
end up watching it because I've really enjoyed him on SNL recently.
oh nice.
Yeah.
Um I I liked the special a lot, and it's I feel like having done comedy and just like kind of being a comedy nerd about a lot of things, I can sense that the crowd that they gave him to film that special wasn't his crowd. It's like they
Hmm.
put him in a theater setting when he's a club comic. Like he's a pretty like dingy like club comic. And so to put him like up on stage with lights and all this big stuff, and I mean I guess he's a headliner, so that might not be true, but it really felt like he was playing for people that were kind of laughing in the wrong places, or he was almost nervous to touch on things that he, was a little bit darker or a little bit personal, because
Hmm.
they were, you know, sometimes you feel audiences laugh at the wrong parts, and you're like, oh, all right, well, this isn't going to be as much as this isn't going to pay off for me as much as I wanted it to.
Yeah, it's like you're laughing at me. I don't like that.
Yeah, I like having more control over why people are laughing at me.
I remember the one joke I remember about it was from the sizzle reel, and it was pretty funny. It was talking about how his girlfriend's gay friends just like come up and basically like molest her. Like that was kind of funny. Like
That's a
he's like
funny
what the
idea.
fuck? He's like yeah, he's like what the fuck? I've had that thought before too, and I'm like that's a really funny bit. And I was like it's like he had a pretty original take on it. I like that.
Yeah.
He's like we can't just come up to like someone like your boyfriend and just like grab his dick and just shake it around and shit, like something like that. He's really come a long way on SNL. I feel like he's basically I would feel like he's this generation's Adam Sandler in a lot of ways. He's very
Oh, cool.
similar.
I was just
He's
thinking
very
about
similar
Adam
in that
Sandler
way.
because when you said that, because when he started, he seemed a little bit reserved and kind of like this big, but then like later on, he was playing bigger characters, like with more personality and the what's the
He's super young. He's like I think he's like 5 years younger than me. You
yeah,
know,
he's young, and
he's a young
I get
dude.
it's one of those things that yeah, he's young, and you go fuck you, God
Yeah,
damn
dude,
it.
I couldn't. I hate to say it, but I'm a super big hater towards Bo Burnham because of that. Bo Burnham is so fucking talented and so amazing. But when I saw him, I was like, for the first time, I was like 26 and he was like 19 or something. I was like,
Yeah,
go fuck yourself. I was like, you go fuck yourself straight in your face, you fucking dickhead. Like I was like,
yeah,
I hate you. I hate how smart you are. I hate how funny you are already. I hate how like versatile you. I was like, fuck you. I was like, you can't be this good at all these forms of comedy. Like you
yeah,
suck.
yeah.
And
My
I have not watched a Bo Burnham special since then. I'm just
my daughter's a pretty big fan of Bo Burnham, which is just kind of interesting having her like Bo Burnham after I like I almost went through a Bo Burnham phase, and so I was like, oh, this is really funny, and then it was like, okay, well, now it's kind of like childish funny, but still like it's heady, but it's like teenager heady. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but
He's
yeah,
he's definitely, I think he's marketable too. That's another reason he shot
yeah,
up so fast is that his stuff has a tinge of darkness and a tinge of truth to it, but it's very, very palatable. I feel like it's just
yeah,
like it's very creamy. It's got a
yeah.
lot of it's got a lot of oomph to it that shoves it down well.
It's it's interesting because in his second special, which is way palatable as a comedy special. He has a song in it about how country music is palatable and talking down to you, but he's using the exact tools that country music is doing. And it's interesting because it's like, oh, you're still making this catchy. You're still doing the same things and it's still a formula that you're using, but you know which how to make it funny instead of, you know, to someone's, you know, beer truck tractor heart.
I feel like that's why. Yeah, I mean, I think I actually remember that one. So that's why I feel like that's why people lampoon country music so much. Is it's so fucking easy because the rhyme scheme
Yeah.
is just ABC, ABC. It might as well be a fucking nursery rhyme. Like,
Dude,
like
I thought that so much.
I. That's why I hate it so much. I feel like it's baby music. I feel like it's like because it's it's just so simple. It's just and I know some people like that, and I know some people aren't looking for much more in music, and I know it's kind of pretentious, but like oh man, I think something bad happened to me while country music was playing because there I have a fervent like anger. Like if you really wanted to torture me, like if I was in like a Guantanamo Bay situation, like not waterboarding, none of that. Just put on like fucking Shania Twain and like like uh like that fucking just not even like super twangy country, but just like pop country in general will get
Yeah,
me. Like
it's really bad. And it's I feel like it's made for stupid people. And then when people
mhm.
play it, they're they're going, I'm stupid. And it's just like, okay, you have to understand how stupid this is, right? You get that this is made for stupid people and you're fucking eating it up because you're stupid, right? And they're like, no, it's great. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I can't convince you that you're stupid because you're too stupid. Fuck. And then you get like, that's frustrating too.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and it's hard to say that. It's and it doesn't mean they're like stupid across the board. It just means like musically they're stupid. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it's kind
that's
of
true.
like it's kind of like cursing. It's kind of like cursing too much because it's like they always say like if you curse too much you sound stupid. So I agree with you in that. Like if I'm my first thought is if someone's like, oh, this is my favorite song, and it's like about ding down swing down a bebop and a Bud Light in my hand. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah,
fucking hate you're a dum dum and we can't relate on any level. Like I was like, I'm gonna talk slowly from now on so you understand everything else. Like it's hard not to shake that feeling, but then I remember like there are people that are just so casual, they just don't care what goes into their ear hole. Like
yeah,
it's kind of like McDonald's. Like it's like that. Like, it would be like me getting being a food snob and being like, oh, you guys don't eat steak all the time. Like I don't know. I just
yeah.
I always get like every girl I've ever dated get sick of me talking about music because I start getting into this like because it's also like a lot of pop music I don't really enjoy either because my
Right.
biggest thing is I can't stand when I'm like, oh, I don't ever listen to that song but it's in my head. Why the fuck is it in my head? I never listened to it. I've heard it in passing and I
Yeah.
know all the words to it. Why is that? Why do I know like why do I know all the words to every Megan the Stallion song? I don't put that on ever. Like you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
Like
there's
I
but
know
there's
every body yada 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 body yada. Why the fuck do I know that?
yeah,
Why? Because it's psychologically designed to stick in my fucking brain like a
exactly.
sand. Like I don't want that in there. Like it's dumb. I just I had someone play that song for me the other day, and she's like she got so excited. She's like, "You got to hear it. It's great." And it's like, and it's nothing against her. Like I'm not gonna be a guy being like, women can't talk about like sex and songs and stuff. I'm not against WAP or anything, but it's just like she acted like this was like the best song she's ever heard, and it's literally just so repetitive. Body yaddy yaddy body yaddy. It's just It's noise to me, and I
Yeah,
sound like an old man.
repetition will really bug me in a song too. Like that's
I
why
think it's a mental. I think it might be a mental illness that I have. That's what it sounds like because it annoys the fuck out of every girl I ever dated, and they just don't understand it. And I feel like a crazy person trying to be like, but it hurts my brain. Like
yeah,
it makes my brain no feel good.
that's why I can't fuck with like Sting or the Police or
Uh,
like there's so much just that SOS song has I feel like that's caused me to just like flip the
yeah,
fuck out, you know. Yeah.
I
That
don't. I don't like overplayed songs. I don't like. I don't. Yeah, I don't like a lot of repetition in songs. I like songs that like they can come back to like a chorus here and there, but if the core even if the chorus is like too much of the same and it doesn't, alternate enough, it really bugs me. Even in songs that I used to like, it just
so there's this dude that plays music at my work and he plays really bad music, but that's fine, whatever. Um and he he's obviously getting music that he's downloading somehow
mhm.
because he got a song that remember like when you were first started downloading music and you get like a song that's the chorus but just looped,
Oh yeah.
and so it'd be a pretty good loop. Someone would cut it and it'd be like, oh, and you can't tell until like a minute in. You're like, what the fuck? But he doesn't notice, and he also plays like the same playlist of about 25 songs just for hours. And so like that drives me crazy, but also he doesn't even notice that like there's one that's just the chorus over and over again and it's like 4.5 minutes long.
So he's like listening to a ringtone duplicated.
Yeah, yeah, it's
We
crazy.
used, we used to say that about we worked with this server, and in hindsight it's funny because he was always high on oxycontin, but he would like he would like just sing like the one part he knew of this song, and we used to say he was like a ringtone. I was like, you only know the chorus, man, it's really annoying, you keep doing it. He would do the woo, and he didn't even know the rest of the lyric. He'd be like Baba Siva Woo, and he would just like all day, every day, like, oh, dude, you're fucking high. But I was like, you sound like a ringtone, man. Like, why are you? You're not singing the song. Can you stop? Like, I know it's like a tick, but
Yeah.
yeah, no. People used to do that in the dish pit though. They'd bring in. I remember I'd work with this dude. Um, he would bring in a Little Wayne album, and it would have like 18, 19 songs on it, but it was really only like 5 or 6 songs remixed
Yeah,
because that
Dedication
was all
2,
we were.
dude, that's exactly that album. That's also those songs though are fucking amazing, my
Yeah, I
opinion.
mean, I couldn't appreciate them at the time because now I kind of feel nostalgic for some of that kind of rap, but at the time I was just like he would listen to it every day, and they would get annoyed with me with the music I'd put on, but at least I was like, dude, at least I mixed it up. Like I'm not always like
Yeah.
listening to the same album. I would have an iPod and I would literally like delegate. I'd be like, hey, what do you guys feel like today? I was like, would you rather have this or would you
And they're
rather
like
have that?
Little Wayne.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, I'm just done with Lil Wayne. Like it was right when that it was like 2008 when that Amelie song, that song is super repetitive. Amelie, Amelie, Amelie. I'm like, oh man, and then he'd have like
Oh yeah.
he had like 9 different versions of that song on there. I was like, man, fuck you. I was like,
Well, that
did
was
you
like
did you remix one of these? Like,
when
are
Rick
you?
Ross started blowing up. That's kind of how that was, wasn't it? It's like a lot of
Oh yeah,
his
he was
songs
he was
got
kind of repetitive.
I can't even think of a Rick Ross song.
I can't now either, except for I just knew he was the boss. Um, so it was actually really funny. We back when I was working at that restaurant, there was a manager there named Rick Ross, and he actually was my boss, which was really funny. We all fucking laughed about that for like the 3 months that he worked there.
That's awesome.
Like fucking Rick Ross, the boss.
There's a really good because I try to listen to like techno that's not too intense. Like I like I like some Prodigy. I used to be like pretty into drum and bass stuff. I liked that. But there's I've just been kind of listening to I'm trying to find it here. Some really simple like the lo-fi beats playlist, that they have.
Yeah, I love lo-fi, and it's actually funny. We were talking about repetitive, and literally lo-fi is mostly
Yeah.
loop. Like, I mean, I know that's a little hypocritical, but I don't mind repetition as much if it's just the actual music. Like if
Yeah, if
it's
it doesn't have lyrics, I was just going to mention that earlier because having
yeah.
lyrics at work, if it's like a chorus over and over again, that'll just drive you crazy.
Hmm.
So, but there's one that's called "Feelin' Real Beachy" by Normandy Beach Party. That's I it's I've been listening to him for a while. This is definitely one of my favorite ones so far. Feeling
Nice.
real beachy, upbeat, lo-fi hip hop mix. Fuck, it's great because there's some like jazz on it, but it's like over a beat.
Hmm.
It's hard to explain because it's like woodwinds and shit.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah, I like when they mix in jazz. It makes it a little more relaxing, which is nice.
Yeah, works really well for just going out in the summertime. Every day, I would just go out in the garden for like an hour every morning.
Mm,
Man, what a nice time. So good.
nice.
I'm so excited to garden again once it fucking stops being. I don't like the cold weather. I fucking hate it. I don't like. It's fine, whatever. But
Every I know it's the year this, and I don't count this year, but literally like every winter in Oregon for me since I've moved here has been worse than the last. Like winter has always been like something bad has usually happened or something bad feels like it's about to happen. The restaurants always slow down. I'm always kind of broke. Like it's just cold and just like it doesn't feeling like going outside feels pointless even
yeah,
before the pandemic,
people are
like
like, "I'm so excited for it to snow," and I'm like, "I drive for a living. Fuck
yeah,
you." Like, no, I don't even care that it's magical anymore. Like, no, it's I don't. I got
I
chains, but I
got
don't want
over
to
it
use
about
them.
yeah. I got over it about the third time it snowed. I was like, nah, dude, this just means I'm losing money. I don't
Yeah,
I'm losing money and I'm gonna slip around when I walk outside. Like, all right, cool.
yeah. I'm just saving up all my sick pay for snow days. That's what it is. Snow day pay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was one it was a couple years ago where it actually like kind of it snowed like right around Christmas. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I was snowed in with a comic buddy, was hanging out, and we hung out for a couple days playing 64.
Dude, hell
And
yeah.
yeah, we like played through most of Donkey Kong 64, which was awesome. And we just
Nice.
fucking we'd go to 7-Eleven. We'd walk to 7-Eleven in the snow and fucking get a pizza and just get stoned and fucking play
Dude,
Donkey Kong.
I just found Star Fox 64 in my drawer.
Nice.
I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play that pretty soon.
That one, I feel like that one is definitely the best in the series. The first game is fun, but it feels like, especially after playing the 64, it feels like a prototype for the for that
I
one.
was gonna say it almost feels like a tech demo for something that was a flying
That was
game.
the first. That I mean, I don't know if it was the absolute first, but it was one of the first 3D experiments that the SNES did, and then they did it again in the Super Star Wars games because they had 3D levels with the speeder. I
Okay,
don't
I
know if
never
you
played.
remember. I don't know if
Oh,
you ever
that's
played that.
cool.
Dude,
Like a
you
in
should
the
get
Return
that
of
on
the
your
Jedi.
emulator. Yeah, they have Return of the Jedi, Empire. They have Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and Super Return of the Jedi, and those are all pretty fun.
I didn't know they did that same kind of thing in there.
Hmm. I
Cool.
have the actual cartridge for the first one, but I have the emulators for the other one on my phone. I fucking love those games, and I've got that Super Nintendo emulator controller, so it works perfectly.
Yeah, that thing's badass. Oh yeah, okay, I remember what you're talking about. The land speeder, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
It's pretty decent 3D effect for the time. I think it was like 94 or 95 when that game came out.
Yeah, it looks like it's using the same kind of stuff as a F-Zero almost.
Oh yeah, yeah, very similar. The top down image there.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
Star Fox is one of my favorite 64 experiences. Also, the really awesome thing about that game is if you're really just focused on it, you can beat it in like 3 hours. I think it's like
Yeah, I think even quicker.
yeah, you could. I don't know what the speed runs are on that. Yeah, you have different routes you can take. Some routes are
Dude,
longer and quicker than
yeah.
others.
I always okay, so it goes kind of it goes kind of like this, and then there's like a path, and then it breaks off, and then but there's like one that's the harder path,
I heard the noise from the game when you did that. The boom.
Yeah.
Like, you remember that?
And
There's a submarine path. Have you done the submarine path?
I don't remember that one. I remember the like land, the land one where you can like roll and it's like you have the wiggle laser that wiggles when it shoots out. It's like ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those levels are so frustrating because you can't, like, it's harder to slow down, and you have to cruise through all those gates. So if you end up cruising through all those gates in that level, I think that's how you unlock the submarine level.
Okay, yeah. See,
I want to. It's something like that.
that was the thing when I first got that game when I was young. I never knew how to even deal with that stuff over there, and like I never got that far. I just got to probably maybe the third or fourth world because like I know like all the lines from the first two, maybe three levels, but anything past that, I'm like, oh, there's like new stuff they're saying, cool. But
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't make a
oh, I call Emma Star Fox sometimes or Star Wolf because sometimes she'll go, "What the heck?" and I'm like,
Funny.
yeah, dude, those stick in your head so much because it's like if anybody says like I've heard someone say long time no see and I'll go Peppy. It's just like it's so
like, the line that always stuck with me from Star Fox is cocky little freak. The monkey guy in the second level, every time you shoot him he's like, you cocky little freak. He's like, I'm Andross's little nephew or whatever. He's all like pissed off.
Andross's enemy is my enemy.
Oh, dude, that's spot on. That is spot on. I like Pigma. Pigma I always thought was kind of crude and shitty. He's really rude in the newest one, the one on Wii U. He gets like super personal. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you like I killed your dad. You're like, whoa, that's kind of a lot for Nintendo, Pigma. Calm down.
You piece of shit.
It's like your dad's stuck in bits in hell and you're next.
Oh man.
Those games are so much fun. They got a little weird. I think they went through different studios that were developing them because they weren't like, I don't think it was direct Nintendo developing them. I think it was like, like smaller studios doing those. Like they had the weird Dinosaur Planet one that was just a Zelda clone. That one was fun, but it didn't feel like a Star Fox game.
Yeah, I heard that was fun though. Star Fox Adventures, right?
Yeah, Star Fox Adventures. Yeah, that was on GameCube. It looked amazing at the time. It had some of the best graphics like ever at the time. Like the fur on his tail. Like I remember as a kid being like, "Oh my god, like that looks like a fucking fox." That's crazy.
Yeah. And there was a Lady Fox, right? She had that stick.
Crystal. So it's so lazy. They made an entire game called Dinosaur Planet. It was going to be a Rare game, but then Rare got shifted over to Microsoft. That was like right when Microsoft bought them, so they lost the rights to it, and then they just put Star Fox on there. So it was kind of like the exact same. It's kind of the exact same scenario as Mario 2. How they did that? They just plastered Mario and Toad and Luigi and Peach all in that game. That wasn't even a Mario game.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought I had Star Fox Adventures, but I have instead this one, Enter the Dragon.
Oh, Spyro, nice.
Yeah,
I've got the HD remake.
Yeah. It's the one that has the extra characters, the like side characters or whatever.
Oh, Blair. Cool.
Yeah, so there's like other things. I thought I had Star Fox Adventures, but I do not. I also have this freaking. I never played this one, Tak and the Power of Juju.
I had a demo of that. I wasn't a huge fan. It felt like
Power of Juju. Happy Hanukkah.
It felt like a weird cash-in because they had the game. It wasn't super successful, and they had a Nickelodeon show to accompany it, and then the show wasn't very successful. It felt like they were like really trying to push both the show and the game, and they should have focused on one or the other.
So that I fucked up twice.
Yeah, it felt like it's not as blatant a cash-in as like I remember as a kid they had a 7-Up game. I don't know if you ever played this on Super Nintendo.
Cool Spot?
Yeah, it was actually really fucking fun.
Yeah, that was a cool and fucking hard game.
Yeah, but looking back on it, I'm like, that was fucking weird that that even existed. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like I dreamed that up. Like,
There
you
was
would
a
literally.
California Raisins game too.
Oh God. Okay, I've got some homework to do on my emulator, man. I want to fucking I want to play some of these games again. I haven't thought about the 7 Up game in fucking forever.
Yeah, that was when I was like when I was downloading as much
Yo,
as possible. So I'd get an
uh-huh.
emulator and then I'd get a pack of games that I could find, and it was like, here's 10,000 Super Nintendo games, and I'm like, what? There's not that many, but it's like all the different, European, Japanese. But it was also cool to see all these Japanese games, and Japan released a lot of like hentai games,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, oh, well, cool, like that's great. It's like a Tetris game, but when you fill it up, it's like you get to see more of the naked girl, and it's like, oh, neat, cool.
Oh, yeah, I've played a few of those. I've
Yeah.
downloaded a few of those, to be honest, when I was younger,
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. Those are fun.
No, it's not porn. I'm pushing buttons. It's great.
You like have to feign being bad at it so you don't get caught looking at porn. You're like, oh, you just like purposely lose if you get caught. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's just a
No,
puzzle.
see, there's a game over screen.
It's like, why are there eyes behind the puzzle staring at you, and why does she have the blowjob motion? I don't know. It's a
Why is her
weird game.
mascara running? Don't worry about
Is there something in her mouth?
it. Yeah. No, that's just my cursor. It's a new custom cursor I got. Well, I want before we get out of here, I want to touch on a little bit of um, alcohol stuff. Just one thing. I had a dream 2 nights ago that I drank a beer,
Uh-huh.
which is the most disappointing. I was like standing on a table, which is weird for me in a dream. Um, or just I'm not that kind of guy anyway. So standing on a table and it was kind of like a party atmosphere,
Hmm.
and I was drinking a beer, and like halfway through it, I was like, "Oh no, I don't drink." It's like especially beer. I quit beer like way before I started drinking. I stopped drinking, and so in my head I was like, well, I'll just finish the beer and I don't have to tell anybody, right? And so there was like this moral thing of like, well, does my number have to reset? What is this? So like, what does this mean? Like deciding whether or not I was going to start like lie to people. That was just a
Hmm.
funny moment in there. Like, even though it's not real, and it's, I guess you when you're within a dream, you don't think like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking this is a dream, so lying matters or not. So I guess that makes
Hmm.
sense. You ever
No, I
had
know.
one of those?
Oh, I've had a few of those. And I always feel guilty when I wake up.
Yeah.
Um, and I had one where I just chugged 6 PBRs like tall boys because that would be a thing. That was a thing I used to do. Just well, I'm gonna take TriMet and go to an open mic. Let's chug 6 tall boy PBRs. That's a good start to the evening.
Yeah.
Then continue drinking. But I'll have dreams like that, and then I'll have that exact scenario, like exactly how you described it. Like, fuck, I got to reset now. I've wasted like all that time is gone. That that's always my thought too. That's one thing that keeps me not drinking is being like, oh, I'd have to reset my fucking counter. Like, fuck that. I don't want to do that. That's
Yeah.
then the accomplishment doesn't mean as much to me. At least like it doesn't like because people relapse all the time and it's okay to relapse, but it's like I just I want to make it more time before I ever get to that point. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
and
it's not okay to completely relapse, but I mean, I know that it happens. Like some people end up doing that. But.
yeah, I don't want to like when people do, it's a way more personal problem than it is a outward problem. It's like that's probably way more disappointing to yourself than it is
Mhm.
for anybody to be disappointed in you. So that's a
Yeah.
whole that's your own thing. There's been people I've seen stop drinking for like a year, have a drink just because it was a hard fucking day and shit was going wrong, and they burned down my house, and then keep saying they keep the same date, and I've been like, all right, well, fine, like that's sure,
Yeah.
but
I I actually had a funny moment today. I was hanging out with Amerman and we were playing the new Assassin's Creed. I just got the Valhalla one,
is it good?
and It's so much fun. It's so great. It's the best like Viking simulator I've ever played. Like you feel like a fucking a
You
Viking.
just go
It's
look in
really
a mirror. I said, just go look in a mirror.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, no, I made the guy. It's funny. I made the guy look like how I would look if I was in shape in a Viking. He has a giant beard. He has long hair, and I changed it from blonde to brown. And anyways, there's a drinking part in the game. Like, and I don't know if you've done this since you've stopped drinking, but like in Grand Theft Auto, like you can buy shots in the strip club. Like I remember doing that, and I'm like, this feels wrong. Like, and then it distorts your vision. But anyways, in the Valhalla game, there's literally a mini game where I try to outdrink this old lady, and there's like a bucket of mead or whatever, and they're just dipping horns in it, and you literally you start drinking so much to the point that you start getting like disoriented and dizzy, and you have to like move the joystick to um to balance out like you're grinding
I
in
was just gonna
Tony
say,
Hawk.
like on Tony Hawk grind.
Yeah, just like Tony Hawk. And I was like, dude, this feels so gross and so wrong. And I literally felt like, ugh. Like after I did that mini game, I was like, I'm not doing that mini game again. That felt it didn't feel good. And I was
Yeah.
like, any kind of like thing adjacent to drinking, even if it's like if it's in a dream or if it's in a video game, it feels ugly to me. Like it's really weird. Like especially playing Grand Theft Auto in the first person, that fucked with me more. I feel like I took a couple shots um at the strip club just to be like, I was like, ah, fuck it. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I might as well see what this feels like. And I was like, this is weird. Like, and then you walk outside and you get that drunk vision, and I'm like, this is weird.
I have a pretty nice house on GTA Online, and I'll let my daughter play that game and just go fuck around with my character. And there's a bong on the table, and then in the kitchen there's like a whiskey and a cup next to it. And she'll just go over there and she'll just kind of look at me, and then she'll just hit drink, and then character goes, and then she just keeps looking at me and she goes drink, and then she just keeps getting, and then eventually he like falls down, and she thinks it's
Oh,
hilarious. It's interesting. She has a uh I like her mindset toward drinking because like right now she's like, I don't think I'll ever drink. But she says it in the same way of like, I don't think uh God's real. Like she said both of those things in the same tone to me. I'm like, oh, well, okay, that's cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
She's
She
like, and
was
that's why I'm not gonna drink because God
yeah,
isn't
no,
real.
she God and Santa Claus are on the same level to her, which is really nice.
That's what happened with me. But
Oh,
I found out Santa Claus wasn't real too late. I was literally like 10 or 11 when I stopped believing in Santa Claus. So it's like I was probably about 2 or 3 years too old to find out. So I was like, oh, all of it's bullshit. I was like, all of these people who are watching you. I was like, there's no one watching me. Like I finally realized that. But it fucked with me, dude. You can't like my dad. I think I've talked about this before. My dad took me to see Truman Show way too young, and I was like, you can't
yeah,
have someone who believes in Santa Claus watch the Truman Show because then you're like, oh, so there's bad people watching me too. Like there's Santa Claus who's good, which before I trusted, but you've opened this realm of these people who are could be watching me.
everybody's
Like,
watching you. Yeah,
yeah, dude, it's like it's kind of I think it's fucking insane that like the news like the news has to say, oh, Santa Claus is immune to COVID. Fucking people, a journalist has to fucking say into a camera. It's like that's insane to me, dude. Like, why is this like we're all lying to children?
yeah.
Like, why? And it's not even for like it's not even like a like age 1 to age 18 type thing. Like if it was something like that, like a school, like for the same amount of time as school was, like if it was something actually important, I'd understand that. But the fact that it's like we're lying on television for like kids from age to like 2 to 6, it's like a like or 2 to 8. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, and then so like, what about the kids that kind of like my daughter's not really susceptible to that kind of thing, but there are plenty of kids of different types. So like, there are probably kids who, have denounced the Santa Claus belief or whatever, and then they see it on TV and they go, "Wait a second!" But the news that you guys, my parents, watch all the time and go, "Oh fuck, the news is telling me this. God damn it!" The news is saying Santa Claus is immune to Corona, the thing that you guys are all scared of. So they're just putting pieces in their head that never ever fucking match up. And so, man, it's gonna be weird seeing those kids grow up.
Yeah, that's what I think. I was like, dude, we're really trying to salvage Santa Claus in this year. Like, if there was a fucking year to tell your kids just collectively, hey, especially a year where parents aren't going to be able to afford getting a bunch of presents. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be like, oh well, Santa's man. Santa got laid off too, just like Daddy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Santa fucking killed himself. We just he's
he killed himself.
he couldn't afford any more firewood. He and Mrs. Claus tried to hug it out, but it did not work out. They froze to death.
You remember the Donner Party? Santa had to eat all the elves. That's why there aren't any toys this year.
Santa got more jelly that night.
I don't know. I mean, I'm all for whatever parents want to, tell their kids if it's part of their tradition. Like, it just seems silly to me to have the news back it up. It seems like come on, man. Why is Dr. Fauci coming on here saying like Santa Claus can come into your home, it's okay? Like this is kind of silly.
Yeah, that must have been just because of the blowback of saying nobody can go to anywhere, and then all the kids were like, wait, what about that guy that's going to everybody's house?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's got to be the reason why. So kids don't, because there's kids out there. Because I was, especially only children. I feel like only childs always end up like, since they don't have people to entertain them, they have to entertain themselves. So their brains fucking just go crazy. Sometimes it's overthinking things. Like I feel like I always and I still do to this point, like overthink things. So I would be like, if I was going through this as a kid, I would be like, oh shit, is Santa Claus going to give us COVID? Like that would be probably why they'd have to like. That's one way, and I get that from that standpoint. Like, don't have the kids fucking going nuts, like thinking that they're gonna get sick from Santa Claus because he's gonna, cough all over their presents and shit. Like,
huh? I wonder if just like a bunch of kids emailed the like news station, like, "Hey, what about this?"
It's probably what it is because they get kids like sending shit in, and I'm sure their parents are like encouraging them sometimes to do that. I always feel like when like some little kid does some like heartfelt, like touching, like super woke thing, I'm like, their parents like help them with that. Like I always feel like, dude, this kid's like 6 years old, like he doesn't know what gentrification is. Like, come on, like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Well, cool. It's been nice talking to you, and I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna let you go. And this has been Must Be Nice with Kyle Adams, Chad Johnson. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Bye. Got it. Boom, boom. All right. Awesome. Sweet. I'm gonna get out here. I gotta go pee really bad.
All right, man. Nice chatting with you, dude.
Yeah, you too, man. I'll talk to you next week. See ya.